Alright guys, welcome back and let's see what is on the last section of this video for you and what's in store, and that is ordering of sentences. So find out the proper order for the four sentences. So in this activity you will be given four sentences which is going to come as part of a paragraph in between the first and the last sentence. So the question gives you the first and the last sentence followed by the four sentences which you will have to mix and match in between. So looking at the first question, we have our four options followed by the last sentence. Let's look at the options here. Proper sequence should be, there you go. So let's read out the question for you guys. In the middle of one side of the square sits the chairman of the committee, the most important person in the room. Now the options are, for a committee is not just a mere collection of individuals. On him rests much of the responsibility for the success or failure of the committee. While this is happening, we have an opportunity to get the feel of this committee. As the meeting opens, he runs briskly through a number of formalities. And finally, the ending statement is, from the moment its members meet, it begins to have a sort of nebulous life of its own. Before we go into the options, guys, I'll give you a quick tip here. So here it is a paragraph. So, and in this paragraph, it is specific and it is talking about what a chairman does in the committee of his meeting. So usually there is a sequence to the actions that is done. So to solve these questions better, the preliminary requisites that you need to have is good vocabulary to understand, and also subjective knowledge about worldly affairs and things that's happening around you. So having common knowledge and your ability to convert it into English is one of those key factors that will help you in solving such questions. So to do that and master it, you have to put English pretty much as your second nature and try to implement it everywhere you go. That's one of the best ways for you to understand and reiterate certain situations and scenarios such as these. Well, now that is a lot of tasks and it is somewhat natural for people who have an affinity towards it. However, I have a couple of tricks under my sleeve here that can help you solve this better. And that is nothing but how you did it in the previous section by understanding the subject verb agreement, applied with a little bit of chronology within the sentences that is in this section. So let's look at the first sentence. That is, in the middle of one side of the square sits the chairman of the committee, the most important person in the room. So it is relative towards a group of people sitting inside a room where it is directed towards one section where the chairman is sitting. And the sentence also tells he is the most important person. Now, what does an important person do? Now, let us look at the options here. And one of the tricks that I reminded you is to find the first letter which is repeating. And looking at the options, none of it are repeating. So let's take up option A first. So that's RSQP. And let us try the permutation combination first. So option R goes first, and while this is happening, we have an opportunity to get the feel of the committee. As the meeting opens, he runs briskly through a number of formalities. On him rests much of the responsibility for the success or failure of the committee. For a committee is not just a mere collection of individuals. Well, it does make sense, but most of the proper nouns are missing when it is compared to the previous, when it is considered to the next statement. As you can see, the first statement is talking about the chairman, and nowhere in PQRS has the chairman been involved. So let us see where are the common nouns that can replace the chairman. So let's look at option P here first. So that for a committee is not just a mere collection of individuals. So the relativity is to the committee here. But whereas sentence 1 is relating to the chairman in its ending statement. So let's look at option Q. So on him rests much of the responsibility for the success or failure of the committee. Yeah, this goes hand in hand with the chairman. Now, which else would support in this? R and S. So R talks about what happens and S talks about when the meeting opens. So no, so the only correct answer, so the starting sequence we have caught on is, that is Q. So on him rests much of the responsibility for success or failure of the committee. So the correct answer here should be as an option that is starting with Q. So that's only one in the section, that's option D. So undoubtedly correct answer is option D. So there you go guys. I didn't have to put in a lot of efforts on rearranging or finding out where and how the question or the answer starts. Though it looks huge, it's quite easy to solve it. All you need to know is the basics of subject verb agreement. It helps you in solving such questions in a much faster and easier pace. However, let's solve another question. So question number 2. Calcutta, unlike other cities, kept its trams. Let's look at the option PQRS. And the ending statement, followed by the proper sequence and the options. Well, there you go. So, Calcutta, unlike other cities, kept its trams. Now, let's do the same trick again. So, find out which of the 4 options has the same starting character. So, option A and option B have the same starting option character, that's P. So, PRSQ and PSQR. Now, let us see if it goes hand in hand with the sentences here. Calcutta, unlike other cities, kept its trams. As a result, their horrendous congestion. And that doesn't make any sense. So just because you have trams, how can it create congestion? So both option A and option B is negated, because as we discussed in the previous question, we are also looking at the whole paragraph. It is not just the options. So what would be the most recommended sentence that would come after Calcutta, unlike other cities, kept its trams is, what about the tram? So where and how is it creating that congestion? So let's look into that. So is it because it was going to be the first in South Asia? So here in the sentence we have come to know that Calcutta, unlike other cities, kept its trams. That means trams are already existent. So it was going to be the first in South Asia would not make sense right next to it. So we'll see the third option, that is, they run down the center of the road. What runs down the center of the road? Of course, it's the trams. So R is supporting this. So let us see which options have R as one of their starting points. And that's option D here. So let's fulfill that entire scenario. So RPSQ. So they run down the center of the road. As a result, their horrendous congestion, see, it fits. So just because it runs down the road, it creates a lot of congestion. So followed by which, to ease in the city decided to build an underground railway line. Yeah, so that makes more sense. So to ease the horrendous congestion, the city decided to build an underground railway line. And to support that statement, the ending is Q. It means it was going to be the first in South Asia. So that was the only city decided to build it. They had not built it yet. So the tense supports for Q to come after S. So it was going to be the first in South Asia. The ending sentence is, the foundation stone was laid in 1972. So the correct option here is option D again. So it's RSPQ. And there you go. And that's it, guys. And there you have it. That's the end of your verbal section for campus recruitment training. We went through a lot of sections, starting from parts of speech all the way till subject verb agreement and how you can apply it onto the techniques and solving questions like these. When life showed me different ways of living, I understood language is something, if you own, you can conquer the world. So this was my brief attempt on helping you on conquering the world. I hope you do your part by taking up the test and scoring well and using the same techniques what I have taught you through the videos